Hello everybody! Today I'm going to be doing my book review on The Game Believes in You, How Digital Play Can Make Our Kids Smarter. The author's name is Greg Toppo. He was a former educator for about 8 years in public and private school. He is a national K-12 education reporter, and this has led him to write this book. He co-led a team that investigated cheating in the U.S. public schools, so as you can see, he's very involved in education and likes to get down to the business of what's going on and get the real scoop. He has been puzzled about what happens to reading in America. He's worried that reading is just obsolete and that kids are no longer interested in reading because of video games. He realizes video games are an unstoppable culture force, and he wants to see how it works together. The title, The Game Believes in You, How Digital Play Can Make Our Kids Smarter. In the title alone, it talks about how it's a positive for him and how games have never given up on you, and it's directed towards parents and educators to show you how video games are a good thing in the classroom and not to be frightened of or to say that they're silly, because it could actually be very beneficial to the students and to education in general. This book grabs readers' attention with a controversial topic. Are video games the solution to getting children interested in school again? I found that this book inspired me with its research and collected stories found by Greg Toppo. As a future educator, I found the research and outcomes that Toppo found to be useful in determining how I will structure my future classroom. There is inspiration in the idea of making children love school as much as they love video games. This book gave me examples and reasons why video games are not just fun, but beneficial to learning and how. I'm excited to try new methods in my class and open up the idea of getting more involved in video games. I might even decide to play more video games myself. The overall book was 12 chapters. Toppo used his research skills to take readers on a journey with him to find out who, what, when, where, why, and how games are the solution to many problems that our children face in schools. By trying to reach educators and parents, Toppo uses other experiences to prove that games in schools will inspire children to love school again, to take risks, and to expect new challenges. After reading this book, there are some of the main ideas I want to discuss. Are books becoming obsolete? Hooked on video games? So are kids hooked on video games? Would you rather have fun or be bored? And do parents worry too much? These were just some of the topics and main ideas that I found that were most interesting. So, are books becoming obsolete? Toppo began his research because of the idea that books are becoming obsolete in new generations. He was worried when talking to his children that they didn't have a favorite book, or that children were just not interested in reading books anymore, or after high school that they never read a book again. Thanks to people like Fullerton, books are being brought to life by the game designers. So Fullerton was one of the people that Toppo went to speak with, because she was using the book Walden, and she found a way to help students explore the nature in the book, and if they want to, they can find the deeper meaning. So she made a game that began with exploring in the woods, and it had text from the book in the game, and it got children interested in wanting to learn more about the book. Other designers have begun to design textbooks with games that help teach the context along the way. So if you're learning about natural selection, you can play a game halfway through that will show animals and other animals, or you have to try and run away from something. So it'll just express how the textbook is trying to teach you in a more interesting way for students. But this is not mandatory and is not designed to be mandatory. It's designed for the children who want to go the extra step and enjoy learning in a new way. So games really can be used to save books. It's hard for students to find books interesting, but with the help of technology, it's become better. I personally got this book through Kindle app on my phone, and having the ability to read the book whenever I had a chance made it a lot easier than having to carry around a hard copy all the time. So technology is really helping books in general. Hooked on video games. So many people say that children are hooked on video games, and a few quotes in the book talked about when we successfully take risks or make predictions that run out to be correct, we get a shot at another neurotransmitter, dopamine. So we get another shot of that, and that's how our brain works. We get another one. And every time we come out alive, every time we learn something new, our brain naturally wants to keep the party going. Well, if you think about it like that, of course, if you enjoy something and if it's fascinating to you, you want to keep going, you want to keep doing it. So maybe that's why children play video games for so long, is because it just gives them such a thrilling feeling and they don't want to lose it. So imagine taking that excitement, that urge to want to keep going, and put it into schools, put it into learning, put it into education, and give them that same excitement for learning. And sometimes they might not even realize that they're learning because they're having so much fun. Video games are not going anywhere, so we might as well utilize the effects. So bring them in, embrace them, and use them, because that's what children like. And we need to start realizing that the more we focus on what children like, the happier they're going to be, and the more willing they are to participate in school. And video games, unlike a lot of people, they have all the time in the world. They are patient and they wait. You can try again and again and again, and you're never going to be criticized by this game. You're going to be able to keep trying and trying and trying. So people are busy, and sometimes it's just nice to have something that's not rushing you, and it's letting you learn and try again, and it's okay to fail. And it's sometimes just an escape from reality and a stress release. So of course children are going to want to play it. So yes, when you think of children being hooked on video games, take a step back and think about why they're hooked on video games. And really though, would you rather have fun or be bored? Children are often bored in school because we focus so much on the test. Teachers teach to the test. Video games can spark our generation because it's something that is already so familiar to us. Teachers can finally reach children in new ways and get them to want to come to school each and every day. Add it to the classroom. Like one of the stories that Topo expressed to us was a teacher who used health points and experience points in his classroom to motivate students to want to show up or to want to help their friends or to want to do good in class, because they would get more health points and there would be certain rewards or certain consequences for their actions. And that's something I think was probably my favorite part of this book, was just a game that necessarily didn't even need technology. You used it in the classroom as a daily activity, and you brought the kids in and had them work together to try and get health points and experience points, and life just became one big fun game. And Sheehy explored using WoW and Second Life in the classroom. She used avatars and let the kids be who they wanted to be and have fun and work together. And lastly, one of the teachers, he used fantasy football to get the kids more interested in world events. The students started looking up events at home to try and see what would benefit their countries, or to swap countries, or to trade countries. So it's very interesting, because then he saw that even after the fantasy football country game was over, they were still looking up world events and adding it to their Facebook and having conversations with their friends outside of school. Another school that really interested me was the Quest School Challenges. They are a school in New York that kind of was a little outside of the norm. They didn't teach to the book like everybody else. They challenged students to create and question the rules of the game. So if they were playing a game of basketball, instead of going by the books, they would be asked to question how they play, or to take a subject and question it and look at it in a new way. And I feel like in schools, you're often told to follow the exact way they tell you and to not question the rules and to not work differently than how the other person would work. And this really is a school that is celebrating everyone's unique learning styles, and it's just really interesting to me that there's a school out there that can still do so good on tests. I mean, they do okay on tests, but they still get the academics done, and they build the child as a whole. And they teach it's okay to take risks, it's okay to fail, and it's okay to try again. So video games teach you that too. If you realize that if you fall and die in a game, you get to try again, you get to fail, and you get to find out other ways to build yourself back up. And if you fail, you can analyze why and do it again. So I think that I'd rather have more fun than be bored in my class. And parents, they shouldn't worry so much. How often do children say that their parents play video games with them? If you're so worried about video games taking over your child's lives or it being too violent, play with them. See what they're doing. Take interest in them and have conversations, because if you don't want them to see something, then maybe you can talk through it. Maybe you can not hide behind the curtains, and you can actually have the conversation with your kids to make sure that they're getting the right information out of what they're seeing. As a parent, it's your responsibility to take the time to understand what your child is interested in and to show interest so that you can build that relationship with your child. I know I'm guilty of not seeing the potential in video games and seeing what wonderful things that they can teach. I used to give my boyfriend all kinds of a hard time every time he'd play his games, but a lot of the games that he played showed up in this research, and it was really interesting to see that it really does help and it really does build the person. So if I would have taken the time to play with him or to have that conversation or to watch his game a little bit more in depth, I might have been able to see the benefits that it has. So Pokemon taught children how to analyze and classify more than 700 different types of creatures through trading cards that were dense with specialized technical cross-reference text. If you think about that, that's 700 different types of creatures. That's a lot of different creatures that they had to learn about. And imagine if they had that opportunity to take that and push it towards school, learn 700 different types of animals that are real, that the game could be beneficial to them if it would come up with a game that would be more directed towards that type of species. And researchers also started to discover more unforeseen benefits such as attention control and emotional regulation. And in Miss Sheeney's class, she used how to explain to parents that they weren't learning just how to play WoW, but that they were learning skills and how to read at a 10th grade level and work as a team, manage money, and work with math ratios, including how to problem solve when failing and try to adjust the reasons why. Life skills along with academic skills. So overall, this helped their socialization and confidence. So don't you want your children to build an overall experience? And when my children leave school, I want them to do more than just take a test. I want them to learn more than just that. I want them to be a well-rounded person. So overall, I thoroughly enjoyed reading this book. I found that the stories and experiences of others really helped to see that there are people out there who are trying to make a change. At times, the amount of research that Topple gave was a bit overwhelming. It may have been a bit better if he expressed more of his own thoughts of what the sources were saying. I found myself having conversations with other people about this book, and it has been led to very interesting conversations and discussions about games and the benefits and the challenges of both. I think that is a great book that everyone should read, not just educators and teachers. It will help people get a better understanding of video games and how learning works. I know it had me reflecting back on my education and wishing things were a bit different. So grab a controller and have some fun. See what video games can teach you.